think he's literally fishing the market. He doubled the price. Look at this one here.
Why can't I hear anything? Okay, I'm gonna go to my meeting started. There's 19. Hi everyone, we'll wait another 30 seconds and then we'll get started. There's 10 of you attending tonight. And there's 19 of us in the course. So there's 9 of us missing. I do know a couple students are not able to join. So we'll wait another, not too much longer. And we'll just get started and then people can join late. The session is being recorded right now. So I guess when I created the Zoom meeting, I did press automatically record. So that's not what I really wanted to do, but that's what ended up happening. So it is recording right now, just to let everybody know. Okay, so it's 8:02 now. So I think I'll get started just to respect everybody's time. And there are 10 of you on, so I'm thinking there should be a few more. Okay, so the screen is posted. Can everybody hear me, hopefully, and you can see the screen? Can someone say yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it and hear you.
Yep, thank you very much. So we'll get started now. So the I wanted to have this this meeting at the beginning. It's really important so that there's really 2 aims of having this 45-minute meeting. It's to make sure that everybody knows what is expected, because it is a very short course of 7 weeks and it's going to go by very quickly. And I want to make sure that everybody understands what they need to do. And also the second part is just to make sure everybody's at a point where they're feeling, you know, confident and comfortable with the course, that they'll be able to be successful, right? And if there's any doubts, then you know what, have that conversation with me so that I can alleviate any anxieties, fears, or doubts, because it's really important that that you're with me, because we're going to go on a journey together for 7 weeks, and you're going to do very, very well. I've taught this. This is my 6th time teaching this course in the last couple of years. So I've been with Queens for, you know, since summer 2019. So what is that, 3 years now? And this is the only course that they give me. They keep giving me the same course to teach, even though I ask for other courses as well. So not sure why, but that's okay. So it's a really nice course, and that's what I'm going to be going in. So again, the 2 goals of it is just to make sure that you know exactly what is expected of you, as well as to leave the meeting feeling confident that you're going to do well. Okay, so I just got to figure out how to, there we go. So there's the agenda on the screen. The agenda is I'm going to do a really quick introduction of myself, and then we'll talk about leadership, what that is, and that's really the big theme of the course. We'll talk about the big goals of the course, that is the big takeaways, and I do realize that many of you in the course are not in in formal leadership positions, and many of you have no intentions of being in formal leadership positions. I understand that, but unfortunately Queen's has made this a compulsory course, and I've questioned that over the years quietly because I can't say anything because that's not my place. But what's happening is that with the September 2021 group of students, intake of students, this course is no longer compulsory. So it makes more sense to me. It's going to be a requirement of the educational administration concentration. So it makes more sense to me there. But again, the intake starting in September are also going to have to do the capstone. So my understanding with you folks is that the capstone course at the end is optional. You can choose it or you cannot choose it. But what the students in the last 5 times I've offered this course is that even though many students have no interest in seeking formal leadership positions and moving up in the hierarchy in their organization, they do resonate with the concepts, and they do find it a fun course. And then when I read the course evaluations at the end, many people say, you know what, I took this course, it was compulsory, wasn't looking forward to it, but it was actually a fun course, and I can make connections to my professional practice. Everybody has said that who has done the survey at the end. So that's good news. I want to alleviate any concerns you have at the beginning, because sometimes it's fearful to take this compulsory course, which is really the only compulsory course. And you know what, this is not what I wanted to do. I want to focus on literacy, right? I want to focus on assessment, or I want to focus on Indigenous education. So why am I taking a leadership course, right? But you can make connections, and you will make connections, and that's the neat thing about the course. So just hang in with me, and you'll see that happening. And also, we'll talk about the module structure, the weekly module structure, and if there's only one big takeaway out of this meeting that you want to take away, it's really what I'm going to be talking about in terms of the module structure. That's really the big takeaway I'm hoping you can get. And that's why we're having it, because I want to make sure everybody understands right from the start that they're in the course content, there's enough material for 15 weeks of work, right? So we want to make sure that in the on-cue that you're not doing 15 weeks of work. There's just way too much work in this course, and students will say, many students have said in the course evaluation, this course is the heaviest workload. Even though I've reduced the workloads quite a bit, it's still very heavy, and it is very heavy still. But I'm not sure how much more I can remove before I get into a lot of trouble doing that. Okay, so we'll talk about the workload as well. My expectations of you, your expectations of me, and if there's any questions at the end, because the whole point of this is that we have to hold each other accountable. That I'm going to hold you accountable, and you're going to hold me accountable. And high expectations for you, and you have high expectations of me, and we're going to push each other to make sure that that we reach that accountability. Okay, so that's the agenda. Next slide. Okay, come on, next slide. How do you, it's the arrow key. Okay, there we go. I'll just push this. So the introduction is, please call me Lewis by my first name. There's no need for formal titles. And just to let you know why, in undergrad, if you're doing a bachelor's degree, yeah, call your professors by, doctor or professor or whatever. At the graduate level, we don't do that. We call our professors by their first name. And the reason why we do that is that we're on equal levels. Right? So we're learning together. It's a learning community. We're learning together. Yeah, there is the power and hierarchy that I will give you marks in the end. That is true. But the focus of the course is a lot on the learning. And that's why we want to focus on calling each other by our first names. When I did my master's at Queen's, it was face-to-face back in 2002. It took me 5.5 years to finish the degree. It was a bit long, but I called all my professors by their first names, and that's what their expectation was. as well. But I'm finding with the online courses, people are very formal. But I've always called my professors by their first names. In the master's program, when I did my doctorate at Western, the Western doctorate was totally online. I called everybody by their first names, and everybody was fine with that. So please call me by my first name. I have 25 years in education, so I am not a full-time faculty member. I am an adjunct assistant professor. So I do work on the side, which is nice for me, right? To supplement what I do in my full-time job, which is a secondary vice principal. I'm in York Region District School Board, which is just north of Toronto, because we have about 10 students from BC. This program, a lot of students come from British Columbia, from Alberta, Saskatchewan, that area. So the Western Canada, a lot of students are enrolled in the PME program. So just north of Toronto. So I'm in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. I've been with Queen's since the summer of 2019, as I said, and this is the 6th time I'm teaching this course. I'm scheduled to teach the course again in the fall and again in the winter, and that's all they give me, this one course. So, but it's a really fun course to teach. Like even though that's the only course that I'm assigned to teach, it's a really fun course, and it's evolved over the times I've taught it, and I've really have made it more into trying to nail down wherever the the weaknesses in the course are, right? So what do I need to address to make it better every time? So that's continually what I'm working on, because it's very different from the first time I taught this course, because there were mistakes made, by the students and by myself, because the expectations were not that clear. So then I've refined it to get it to the point where the expectations are very clear. So that's the good news. Okay, so in order to teach in the PME, you need to have a doctorate. And my hope for you, being in the professional masters, we do have students in our course, and this is their final semester. And so far, there's 19 of us in the course. I've read 16 the student introductions. I'll read the remaining 3 tonight. And 2 of the students so far that I've read, they've reached the finish line. So this is their final course. We have other students that are at the beginning of the journey, right? So it's a very diverse group. Like some students are at the end of the program, others at the beginning, and also in terms of years of experience. We have some students in the course that are just beginning their careers, a couple of years in, and then we have others that have a couple of decades, and that's nice, right? And we also have students. Let me just see where it's located. A lot of us are from British Columbia, so from the Pacific time zone. Do we have anybody outside of Canada? I don't think so. Of the 16 I've read, we do not have anybody outside of Canada. Everybody is situated in Canada. And we have some Ontario people, and we have some from Alberta. Yeah, so that's so far what I've read, right? So mainly from British Columbia. So I am cognizant of that, and that's why I've made the assignments due at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Right? Because if half the class is from, in the Pacific time zone, why is the due date in Eastern Standard Time? So if it's 11:59, then that means they have to get their work in at 8:59 p.m. So just to give them some more time there. Okay, so when you do finish the program, which is a 2-year program, which is fantastic, because it's basically you come in, do your courses, and you leave. And it's a 2-year program, and most students finish in 2 years. Then I would like you to give serious consideration of pursuing a professional doctorate. Your master's degree right now, it's a professional master's degree, right? Which means you take the learning that you do, which is like the research and the literature, and the point of looking at the literature and research is putting it into professional practice, right? In order to make yourself more effective at what you do. And what we will learn quickly, if you haven't already, is that leadership is defined as influence on other people, right? You can be a formal leader and have no influence or have minimal influence on your staff. Yet you can be an informal leader, which means you don't have the formal leadership title, and yet you can be making a lot of influence on other people. And we do see that when we have changes happening, like a big change in the school happening, The formal leader who is leading the change could be having minimal impact. Yet you have that informal leader, that staff member who is well respected by the rest of the staff. And if that staff member is pushing back on the new initiative, it's not going to move forward, right? So who's having more influence here? Is it the formal leader, or is it that actual informal leader who's so well respected? Okay, so think about pursuing a professional doctorate. My understanding, and I've seen it on the Queen's website, is Queen's is scheduled to have their first intake of students for their Doctor of Education program in 2022, which is next year. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that Queen's is scheduled to have one. So that's something that you really, really want to look at. And if that's what you wanted, if that's what you're thinking, then my strong recommendation is to take the capstone course at the end, right? Because when you take the capstone course, then you're going to come away with a paper, right? And that paper can be used when you apply for your professional doctorate as your writing sample, right? So it's a substantial piece of work. And because you are at Queen's, I would think that you would get some, you'll be favored into the professional doctorate, which is to be a continuation of your professional master's, right? So it's a continuation, and it's fully online, which is great, because what universities are finding, like Queen's, Queen's is basically, what do students want? And then we will do our best to give them that. And that's what Queen's is like. Queen's was the first university in Ontario to have additional qualification courses all online. And that was back in 2001. And I do know that because I was hired as one of the original additional qualifications instructors back in 2001. And I taught them mathematics, intermediate math, senior math, and the honor specialist math to be a department head. So Queen's is very forward thinking. Queen's basically finds what do students want and need, and then let's provide that service to them. So do give some serious consideration into that. Also do give serious consideration into the professional doctorate at Western. It's also a fully online 3-year program, and I believe Queen's would also be 3 years. So see the benefits of each of them and find out, if you're interested to continue on with that learning. And with the Western Education Doctorate, they divide you into 4 cohorts. It's a cohort model where you start the program with a group of like 19 other students, like approximately 20 students in the class, and you progress through each course with the same group of students. And that's really powerful because you can feed off each other and support each other. And when you do assignments and stuff, you can work with each other and get the support and help you need. So you could basically be like a cheerleader for each other, right? And provide moral support. And that's very, very powerful. The doctorate that I did at Western, I was part of the first cohort group in 2013, and there were 19 of us. 2 ended up withdrawing after a first semester for whatever reasons. I'm not sure why. And 17 of us remained, and we all graduated. So the success rate is very high. And that's unusual for a doctorate, because doctorates tend to have like 50% graduation rates, right? But at Western, it's in the 90s. And my sense with the Queen's professional doctorate, it will be very, very high graduation rates as well, because of the amount of support that both Queen's and Western will provide the students. It's going to be very, very high support. So do give consideration to that. My contact information is provided. Please email me if you have any questions or need clarification. It's really important that we keep in communication. So if you're running into difficulty with meeting timelines, that's okay, right? I totally get it. Just send me an email letting me know that you're not going to get the work in on time, you need an extension, that is fine. I just need to know that, because the problem I run into with students is if they don't communicate with me, then I don't know what's going on, right? And it's not my responsibility to communicate to reach out to you after the deadline. So please reach out to me before the due dates, just to keep me posted. And absolutely, flexibility will be provided, and extensions will be provided as needed. I did send out all of the weekly module expectations to you, so that you can work ahead if you want. okay? Because some of you might want to work ahead, and that's okay as well, okay? So when you do contact me, if you do not hear from me within 2 work days, then please resend the email, because basically it means it got buried in the pile, and I want to make sure that you get the support you need. So anytime you need questions or clarifications, please reach out. It's really important. Okay, so the course is about leadership, right? And I want to emphasize there that we are all leaders in an organization, whether you're informal or informal. I gave the example already of that informal leader who really holds a lot of influence on staff. And you might see that. And because I'm an educator, I've seen that in my schools, right? Where there's just one staff member, or or two, where the staff, if the principal or vice principal says something, everybody just looks at that staff member to see, okay, does that staff member give the thumbs up or down, right? It's very, very high influence. So because of that, as if you're a formal leader, you want to make sure that you get that informal leader on board, right? Because that's how it's going to help with your change process. So we're going to use the definition from Northhouse, which is the course textbook, that leadership is defined as a process whereby an individual influences a group or individuals to achieve a common goal. All right, so some of the key words there is influence, and another key word is group, because it's people, the people that you're serving, and the other one is a common goal. There's a shared vision and goal that we're looking at. So the course is going to look at 11 leadership theories or approaches. And what's nice about it is that you will resonate with many of the leadership theories, and there will be other leadership theories that you're not going to see the connection to professional practice. So you're going to cling on to the ones that really, really resonate with you. And unfortunately, the Northhouse textbook doesn't have a final chapter where they take all the leadership theories and bring them all to full circle, because what you will notice is that there are commonalities between the leadership theories. You will see that as we get into the course, as we progress through the course. So your responsibility is going to be making those connections between the leadership theories, okay? Because there are going to be connections, and there's going to be some distinct differences between them, and that's why they're different leadership theories. Okay, what I do suggest you do, and this is for your own eyes only, is to maintain a journal to document your thoughts and reflections. So what you could do is keep a notepad, or keep an MS Word document open, and just type your reflections on anything that, a light bulb goes off, right? Just put that reflection down, because the payoff is for the final paper. I really do believe that. And again, the journal is not handed, and it's for your own eyes, because you're progressing so quickly, during the 7 weeks, you're going to forget things. Okay, so just jot it down there. Leaders are socially constructed, that is, they can learn and grow. So we're not talking about leaders are born, and they cannot change, and it's like fixed mindset. Leaders are continually learning and growing, and you develop into a leader by the social environment, right? So being immersed with other leaders, and you pick up the good qualities, to emulate. And if you have a bad leader, an ineffective leader, in your opinion, that's also a good thing, because you can start reflecting on what I would not do if I was in that position. So there is a lot of reflection that will be happening in the course. The leadership theories, what's nice about it, that the Northhouse wrote it. Northhouse is not, a teacher, right? He's not a school teacher. So that's the nice part, is that the leadership theories can be applicable to any organization. So it's broad enough that's why this is not focused on school administrators, right? When we talk about leadership, we're focusing on any formal or informal leader in any type of an organization. Okay. In terms of the required textbook, it does say Northhouse 2019, and I do apologize. I did not know that Queens has recommended everybody get the 2022 version. The reason why I picked the 2019 was that in the previous offerings that I offered, the Northhouse textbook 2019 was offered at a discount. And unfortunately, because the 2022 version has come out, Amazon doesn't have it at a discount anymore, right? So it doesn't matter which version you have. You can even have version 6 if you want. That'll still be fine. What I find with the revisions, you know, so the 2019's come out, 2022's out. Like, it's just like every few years he comes out with a new version, which makes me wonder, like, is this just a money-making scheme? The differences are not that much. It's just like an updated case study, or the figures are updated, right? There's an additional chapter on inclusive leadership, and I scanned that for you. So if you have the 2019 version, it's not much different from the 2022. It's just that additional chapter, and I've scanned it for you. Okay, so just get your hands on any version, like version 6 and above is fine. And quite a few students, what they do is they know other students that are also in the PME program, so they just get the book off of them, and that's fine too. You just need a copy of it. Okay, so the big goals of the course is we want to take the leadership theories and apply to professional practice. And that's not new, right? You want to take every course that you take in the PME program, you want to apply to professional practice. So if you choose to do an education doctorate, then you're going to take the theories and the research, what you learn, and apply to professional practice. Okay, that's what you want to be able to do. And one of the other things I want to get into, I don't want to keep laboring about the Western EDD program, but the dissertation requirement that I did when I entered in 2013, it's now being discontinued. So you don't have to do a thesis anymore. It's not an organizational improvement plan, which is a 3-chapter paper that you write. It's like a capstone project. It's 3 chapters, and you write it in your final year, in your 3rd year. It is not defended. It is presented to other students in your class. It's like a gallery, not a gallery walk, like when you sit in groups and you present it to each other. Yeah, maybe like a gallery walk, right? So it's something that Western, and I think Queens is also going to do when they look at what the capstone is going to look like, make it very practical. So it's a takeaway so that you can go back to your organization and make positive changes. And that's what you're doing. So in terms of this course, really want to get you, and this is hard to do, okay? And unfortunately, it's hard to do. Yeah, I will push you and you will get there. And I'm going to keep pushing you to get there, is to read critically, think critically, and analyze critically. What that means is when you read something, you don't want to just accept it at face value. You always want to step back and think, like, do you believe that, right? And who's saying that, right? What are the limitations? You know, it's a hard thing to do, but you can do it. And when I say analyze critically, I'm not asking you to point all the great stuff that's happening there. I don't want the great stuff. I want you to point out the shortcomings, the limitations. What kind of questions do you still have, right? So that's the analysis of it. And you're going to write academically in clear, concise, and succinct manner. So instead of writing a 5-page response, can you do it in 1 page and just get to the point, right? And you'll be able to do that. Use APA style accurately. So it's something that I do push, the APA style. Check the course outline. The last few pages of the course outline will have notes on APA, but I don't want it to get to the point where you become obsessed or fixated with APA style, because I actually got the course evaluations from the spring session. I got it yesterday, which really shocked me how quickly it came back. And one student did say that person found that they were basically focused on APA, basically, making sure the APA was right. That's not the focus, right? The focus is on the leadership theories and the learning and applying to professional practice. But I do want you to keep plugging away at the APA style, right? And as I said, I already said that piece, prepare for the capstone course if you're taking it. And if you do take it, then you can certainly look at an EDD online degree at Western or Queens. Okay, both universities I have, I'm very loyal to both Western and Queens. Okay, so this is really important. So if there's nothing else you can take away from this meeting, it would be this slide here, and that's the learning module. Where's the course outline? Here it is. You need to follow pages 3 and 4 of the course outline very carefully, and that's the module structure. So week by week, what do you do, right? So there is enough material in this course for 15 weeks of full-time studies. We only have 7 weeks, so I've condensed it a lot. So please follow the course outline and the weekly modules that I've emailed. That is what you're following. Think of the on-cue course content is supplementary. It's not driving it. The on-cue is not driving it. Unfortunately, Queen's does not allow me to remove any materials. Okay, but Queen's also recognizes, you know, with the other instructors and professors, that we're not covering all of it. They know that, right? Because the course is just too much. It needs to be revised, but unfortunately it hasn't gotten there. There's just too much. So please do not follow what's in the on-cue course content. That is the main takeaway. You need to follow the course outline and the weekly modules. I tell you exactly what needs to be done each week in the weekly things to do list, okay? And there's a lot of stuff that has been omitted. For example, the into thin air assignment, it's been omitted. Last summer, it was not omitted, but I have omitted it this summer because it's just too much. The first time I taught it, I did not admit it either, right? So the first time it was really, really a lot of work that the students struggled with getting everything done, or most of it done. So what you will notice is that the into thin air assignment has been omitted. In the executive book summary assignment, the video requirement has been omitted. And unfortunately, the spring session, one student created the video, which means, you know what, you're not following the weekly things to do. You have to follow the weekly things to do because you're going to be doing more work that's unnecessary. And if you do extra work that's unnecessary, I'm not reading it because that's not part of the course, right? So just know that I'm not able to remove the course content. So you need to follow the course outline and the weekly modules. What you will notice is that in the discussion forum, I've omitted 8 of the discussion forum activities. So that's quite a bit that I've removed. And as we get closer to the end of the course, more of it gets removed because I need you to focus on your final paper, right? So in summary, I've removed the into thin air assignment, which used to be 10%. I moved the 10% of the mark to the executive book summary and made it 30% as opposed to 20%. Remove the video requirement from the executive book summary. There's no need to print a video. And the other thing I've done is I've removed 8 discussion forum posts. Now in the executive book summary, it does say, use publishing software, okay? If you do not know how to use publishing software, then don't worry about it. Use MS Word and just make it look pretty. That's fine as well. Because I had one student in the spring session, she said, I focused so much on making my executive book summary look presentable. You know, that's not the point of the assignment, right? But again, this is the assignment from a Queen's professor wrote that assignment. So not interested in if you don't know how to use Publisher, now's not the time to learn how to use it. Okay, just make it look presentable using MS Word, and that's fine because I'm focusing on the quality and the content that you've written, as opposed to the aesthetics and the colors and stuff, right? And also, and I'm gonna mention this time around, when you do create the executive book summary assignment, you're going to use light colors, because I had students that used all dark colors like black and brown and really dark colors. I print everything. So one of the things that I cannot read off the computer screen very well. I get headaches. So I print everything off in hard copy. So what you will find is that I'm going to be scanning your work and then providing you with written feedback, and it's going to be written by pen. Okay, so it's very old-fashioned like that. I've only had one. I had one professor in the Western doctorate who actually did that as well. But that's what I do. So please, when you do the executive books, use light colors, because I don't want my toner, as I print everything off, to have no more ink, because you've written everything with black background and your font color's white. Okay, don't do that. Okay, please. And I'll mention that when we get there. Okay, so I think that's good there, but this is important, okay? So it's really important. And I gave you an example at the bottom. So it tells you Module 1, the Introduction to Leadership Theories and Approaches, you're gonna do 2 discussion posts, right? And then that's really what you're following. So there's gonna be others in the on-cue discussion, and you're not gonna do that. You'll see it in the course content, but when you go to the discussion forum, It's hidden. I was able to hide the activities that I do not want you to do. That I'm able to do. So you won't see it in the discussion forum, but you will see it in the course content, right? So that's why in the past I've had students email me, how come I don't see it in the discussion forum? Like I have this post ready, it's because it's not required. Okay, and that can cause a bit of confusion, but students do appreciate that, you know, I've at least attempted to reduce the workload. It's still heavy, right? It's still a heavy workload, unfortunately. And I'm not sure what more I can do because of that. But I keep thinking about it. Maybe I'll find the light bulb in this course and then we'll revise it for the fall. Okay, so these are the course assignments. The discussion posts and online participation, the first 6 weeks, it's only a 7-week course, but the first 6 weeks, you're going to have 6 modules and 5% of your mark is going to be based on the discussion post. So you're going to use the prompts or questions provided, and you're going to write a 300 to 400 word response focusing on academic writing, clear, concise, succinct, quality over quantity. So try to keep it within 300 to 400. Last semester, I asked for 200 to 300, and I don't think anybody was able to give it to me because you're not able to give it in the questions to answer. It just wasn't possible. So I've made it 300 to 400. Please try to keep it within that. If you go over a bit, that's fine, but just get quality response over quantity. And that's what I'm looking for. What you will find is that I will respond to your post, and my response is going to be questions and comments. I'm not really going to be writing how amazing the post is. I'm not doing that, okay, just to let you know. So don't get offended or discouraged or upset that, you know, there's nothing nice that I've written. I'm going to be asking questions to dig deeper, okay? So if I see that, you know what, the response is missing this piece, or you know what, the student hasn't said this, I'm going to point that out to you and ask you to elaborate, or if something doesn't make sense. And what I do is you need to respond to my questions. And at the end, the module, I'm going to evaluate your response. So the original response you gave, and did you address my questions? And if you address my questions, then you'll get full marks for it. Okay, because my belief is that, you know what, your first post may not have everything for a comprehensive response. So that's when I'm going to ask them probing questions, or ask for clarification, and then you address it, and then I'm satisfied. Now the response is a comprehensive response, and at the end of the week of the module, then that's worth full marks. Okay, so it is okay if, and the majority of students will not give me a full response at the beginning, the first response. There's going to be holes in your response, and I'm going to point that out, and you're going to address it, and then I got you to dig deeper. I'm satisfied, full marks. Okay, you're also going to respond to one classmate. Okay, so that's what you're going to have to do and provide a response. And you're going to make reference to course readings in your original post and in your response to the classmate. So that's really worth 5. Each of those activities are worth 5%. So if you do it, it's worth 5%. Okay, so the quality of the response you will get there once you've responded to my feedback and questions. Right, so do that. So first of all, here's what you have to do. Number one, you have to post a response. Okay, so after you've posted your response, reply to me in your response and reply to one classmate. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing. It's going to be three posts that you're going to do. Right, your original response, reply to me on your original response, and choose one classmate and provide a response. So I expect to see 3 posts from you in each of the activities. Okay, and make reference to the readings as well. Okay, students did very well on this last semester. They did really well right from the start. Usually what I would expect is the first module or two, the activities are not done all that well, but for whatever reasons, last the spring session that I just finished, they were on top of it right from the start, and then it just finished right to the end. It was really solid. The group that I had last semester was a really solid group. So the class meeting was 94 in the course. They tend to be low 90s. You know, I don't seem to get into trouble with Queens, which is good. So I really do believe that it's, as I've evolved into the marking scheme, it's really, really helped. What you will find is I don't use the rubrics. So when we have, like, let me just press the next one. When we have the executive book summary, there's a rubric that Queens provides. I don't follow that rubric. I don't really understand that rubric, and I don't really know. Rubrics are useful if you can figure out what it's supposed to have, the success criteria in there. So rubrics I haven't been able to use rubrics very well. So I don't use rubrics. I use a marking scheme, and it's in the course outline what the marking schemes are. And I just tell you exactly what is expected, right? So for example, the marking scheme for the module activity, that's how I'm marking one. So give me exactly that. And that's what I do for the executive book summary. And that's what I've also done for the final paper. I tell you exactly what needs to be done. That's what I'm looking for, and that's how I'm going to evaluate your work. So the executive book summary, thank you for including your book choice. I did go through each of the book selections that have been posted. I think 16 of you submitted, and I've approved most of them. There's 4 of them that I did not approve just yet. I just want you to think about the connections to modules 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're able to find those connections, then go with it. If you're not able to, then select another book, right? And many of the books that have been listed, I know them because other students in the course have selected them in the past, and it's worked really well. There's other ones that I've not heard of, and I just did a quick search on Amazon, and then Amazon gave, you know, the brief summary of what the book's about, and as well you can go into the book and see the chapters. So there's 4 of them I'm not sure of. I'm not saying no to it, but if you're one of the 4 people that I've not approved yet, if you're able to make the connections to modules 1, 2, 3, 4, then of course go with it. I just flagged it just to say maybe, maybe not. I don't know. All right, but if you're able to, then just write a brief line in the spreadsheet and just tell me, you know what, I can make the connection, and then I'll approve it, because I do want you to find something that you're going to find useful there. And what's nice about this assignment is that at the end, you're going to post it also in the discussion forum, and other students can access your executive book summary, and you know what, get the book as well. So I've actually, in past offerings of this course, you know, when I read your executive book summary, and I'm thinking, that's a neat book, I'm gonna go get it, right? So I've actually purchased books for my own professional library based on these executive book summaries. So that's the thing I get out of it. And really, really, you know, I like this assignment as well. But again, the focus of this is not on using publisher and making the assignment look very, you know, colorful and presentable. That's not the purpose of the assignment. Okay, so the assignment is due August the 5th. So you need to be reading the book, you know, when you have free time. And there's exemplars on page 7 that are provided, and you're going to follow the marking scheme on page 14 of the course outlines. So let me just go to page 14. It tells you exactly what it is. So there's 4 sections. The first section is a summary of the book and the author's aims. So you're going to give that, right? Section 2 is you're going to make connections to this course. So modules 1 to 4. By the time that you submit by August the 5th, we will have done modules 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick the leadership theories, make the connections to the leadership theories, okay? Section 3 is going to be, how can you apply what you've read in the book to your professional practice? For example, what are the professional takeaways from the book that you can implement in your own professional practice? And that's really important, because again, this is a professional master's program, and the focus is on applying what you learn to professional practice, right? What is the takeaway? Section 4 is the hard part. It's the critical evaluation of the book. I know you're not comfortable doing it, but you need I need to push you to do that. You're going to be critical. I do not want anything in section 4 about how amazing the book is. You're not going to talk about any of that. You're going to be critical. You're going to talk about what are the shortcomings, right? What topics are not covered? What questions do you have? And that's what I would say to people is, you know, if you're having difficulty with being critical, what questions do you have? Like, you've read the book, a couple of hundred pages. Well, what questions are you having now? Right? So that's leaving you with a wonder, like, this is not answered, right? What topics were not covered that should have been, right? Was the book only talking about the what and not the how? So that, made it difficult for you to apply to your professional practice. We'll talk about that. A lot of the times it's easy to talk about the what, but how do you make a change is always the hard part, right? So that's your critical examination, and it'll be a good shot at it, and just follow the marking schema. So just be really critical. It's like taking the book you've read and just tearing it apart, right? And that's what I want to see in section 4, is you to get basically nasty with the book and write that piece, right? Because we also, for those of us in education, we expect our students to think, right? We want them to be critical thinkers. And that's really what you're doing in section 4. And it's hard for our students, if we're teachers, and it's also hard for students in graduate programs to do as well. Okay, so that's something we're going to continue to push in the course, and follow the academic writing and APA style. Last semester's group was very strong in academic writing. They were not that strong in APA style. That, if I could say, one of the weaknesses of the class I had was the APAs, and that's okay. Remember, that's not the big focus of the course. It's a focus. You know what, but you know what, we keep moving, and as you progress through each of the PME courses, you're going to get better and better and better at it. And if you do decide to, if you do choose to pursue an education doctorate, you will continue to learn how to do APA. You may never learn how to use APA style. Like, I had one of my classmates who was in my who I used to collaborate with. She didn't know how to use APA style. So you know what, it is what it is. It doesn't prevent you from getting a degree, because at the end, when we did our dissertations, you get a copy editor to fix up the APA style, to fix up the academic writing. You hire them, right? So you won't need that for your master's capstone, but if you do I don't think you need it for your doctorate capstone either, but if you do publish papers out of your research, then you need to do that. You need to hire a copy editor. So don't worry, if the APA style is not there, I will work with you on it, but it's a work in progress. My APA style, just to let you know, I'm not excellent at it. I have a good working knowledge of it. I'm not an expert at it. Would I say I have an excellent working knowledge? Maybe not. I have a good working knowledge. What session was the fall session when I taught the course? One student pointed out, when you have a quote and it goes over to 2 pages, the student asked me, isn't it PP dot? I was thinking, my goodness. So I checked the APA manual. I was thinking, I've been using APA for 2 decades, and I did not know that, right? So you learn new things, but I have a good working knowledge. Okay, so I'm not an expert at it, but I'm going to push you to also have a good working knowledge. Okay, and the final course paper, the students did very, very well on this. They always do well on this. The first time I taught the course, they did not do well on this. Some of the students were totally off. So what I've learned over the years is really, really important is that case study. So you're going to write a final paper, and it's going to be identify a challenge, identify an incident, challenge, or problem that you have observed or directly been or directly impacted you, or you're the one that's the leader, right? So let me just rephrase that. So identify a challenge, problem, or incident that you have faced, or a formal leader that you've worked with has faced. Okay, and it has to be something that did not go well. So we're not celebrating a leader, right? We're focused on something that did not go well. And from that, you're going to you're going to create a case study to describe it. Okay, so for an example of that, for example, a challenge or conflict would be a leader who does not listen, right? Who has made a bad decision. So I'll just give you one example. I'm just trying to think of what last semester's students did. So one of the students, her incident, which was a great incident, they all were great, many of them great, but hers was her principal chose to spend parent council money. They're in an inner city, so money is tight, right? So we're asking, you know, families to fundraise. No, we're fundraising from families, and the principal used the school count, the parent council money to purchase pumpkins because she wanted to have a pumpkin fest. This was done, like, I think it was, the principal organized it, but did not inform the staff, and did not, it was a new first-year principal at the school, and the staff were very, very upset because they did not feel that this was good use of parents' council fundraising money, number one. There's also, number two, the religious beliefs of the community in terms of pumpkins. And thirdly, one of the classes had a field trip planned on the day the pumpkins were to arrive. So she also expected the students to help unload the pumpkins off the truck and set it all up and everything. And the teachers were upset there because now you're taking my students out of my class. Right? So the student did a great paper on identifying that problem, because it's the communication piece, right? Working collaboratively with the staff, knowing your school community, right? And you know, so the staff were blindsided about this. So there's a problem right there, right? And another student, you know, and it's really timely with the pandemic. So picking something that happened during the pandemic, you know, in terms of decisions being made by school admin and, you know, not informing the staff, right? So communication gap there as well. So we're going to work with me, you know, you can work with me through email to identify that case study. And that's really half the battle there, because I need to approve each of the case studies before you actually write your final paper. So you're going to provide for me by August the 10th, a detailed case study outline in point form. Just give it to me in point form. And I need to make sure that you have a really good case study in order to write your paper, right? Because if you don't have a good case study, it's not going to work. But once you've described that challenge or issue, then it's going to work. Last semester, last time I taught this course, I had cut 2 students. They could not find a case study. So we had a Zoom session. Everybody will find a case. I've taught this course 5 times. Everybody gets a case study. That's a quality case study. Everybody will get it. It's just some of us just need to help them dig it out, right? Because one of the students, you know, also talked about, another one was she couldn't find one. So we chatted all, you know, through Zoom, and she was able to find one as a new teacher, you know, working online, because she, you know, she felt disconnected with the school community, but she was online. And again, it's another communication gap. Seems to be always communication gaps, the examples I'm thinking. Her frustration was, the vice principal, you know, she communicated with the vice principal concerns about the student in terms of attendance, in terms of lack of engagement. So the principal never responded to her, right, which is frustrating. And then eventually what happened was that the principal actually, you know, pulled her out of her online course by suspending the kid. And she didn't know why, and the VP wouldn't tell her. And then all of a sudden now the kid, you know, and the suspension was like for, I don't know, 15 days or whatever. And then now the student is, and she found out about the suspension through the parent. So there's so much going on here, which frustrated the teacher. And she was like felt helpless of not knowing, she was in the dark. Okay, what's going on here? Because she wanted to help the student and she wasn't able to help the student. And now she's talking to a mom who is so anxious on the, you know, on the phone about how do you help my child, you know, who doesn't even want to go to class now, you know, because of the suspension when it was over. So it was a huge thing there. You just have to describe the conflict or challenge or problem or incident. You don't talk about, you know, in the case study, what the solution is. You just identify the problem. All right. So once you've identified your problem or challenge, then you're going to look at number 2, which is the leadership theories. You're going to summarize the leadership theories that you've selected. So we have 11 leadership theories in our course, and you're going to select between 3 and 4 leadership theories that are applicable to your case study, right? So that's why it's really important that you read the Northhouse textbook. So section 2 of your final paper is to provide me with confidence that you've read the readings of Northhouse, right? All you're doing in section 2 is providing a summary. So there's an example of transformational leadership, right? Let's say you chose transformational leadership for your, as one of the leadership theories. So you're just going to provide me with a clear, concise summary of the leadership theory, which is transformational leadership, right? Or adaptive leadership. Just provide me with what Northhouse said, right? To demonstrate to me that you've read the Northhouse chapters. Then in section 4, you're going to use the leadership theories that you identified in section 2 to analyze what went wrong in the leadership demonstrated, right? That resulted in the conflict, challenge, problem, or incident. Okay, so that's why you have to pick 3 or 4 leadership theories, and then you're going to analyze what went wrong. And then you're going to use the same 3 to 4 leadership theories and take a different approach and basically say, had the leader done it this way or used this approach, then the outcome could have been more positive. Okay, so that's just have a look at the marking scheme. It's on page 15 and 16, and it takes you through the analysis of what you have to do and make sure you hit each of the points. And also, okay, so I'll leave it at that with that. So that just to get you thinking. So right now, what you can be doing, because we have a month to do this, is to start thinking of an incident, challenge, problem, or a conflict. It can be you directly involved, right? Or and another student talked about a conflict that she had, with another colleague, right? So her example was her example? Something to do with a reading program, and no, it was actually a him. It was actually a male student. I'm getting confused with the scenarios, but his point was, okay, I remember this now. So his point was, we have 3 new teachers, like fairly new teachers in the school, and they're offering a summer program for summer school, and they're going to be running that program and teaching it. And one of the new teachers stepped up and said she was going to organize, the planning for summer school, right? And the principal was very hands-off. And this new teacher has never done the summer school program and made decisions which upset the senior staff members, right? And the senior staff members went to the principal to express their concerns. Why is the new teacher doing this? Like, this is not how we've done it in the past, because, status quo, we don't resistance to change. The principal responded, I'll look after it. And the principal did not just brushed it off and and basically said, I have confidence in the new teacher who's never taught and planned the summer program, never experienced it, and just continue to let her run it without intervening. And then we had more concerns raised by the rest of the staff. And then it got to the point, where the other 2 teachers were involved. They were involved, and it was like dividing the staff now. And then the principal saw it, and then the principal intervened. Right, so very late interventions by the principal there. So that the student in the PME course, he was one of the 3 new teachers, and he was concerned as well about how the other teacher was planning the program, because it's different from how it's being implemented in the past. Right, so that was a great example that the student was directly involved in. But you don't have to be directly involved in. You can have watched your formal leader do something. All right, so it tends to be more of a challenge finding a case study for students that are right out of, if they're a teacher, for example, that are right out of the Faculty of Education. So we do also have students in the course that are not educators, and that's fine too. So my response to folks that cannot find a problem or a conflict in their current role, go back to a previous role. So you can so I've had teachers in the course that have actually selected a summer job, right? And that's fine too. Okay, like, when I was university, I had the summer job working at, and this was a case study that just came up as well. Like, I kind of remember these case studies because I just evaluated them like a couple of weeks ago. So this particular student did not choose the current work setting. you know, she was a teacher, and she chose her university summer job working at a restaurant, being a server. And she talked about the formal leader, who's the manager, was inequitable in terms of picking the tables to be the server at, and resulting in more tips. And it was an equitable workload. The student talked to the supervisor, the manager, and then that's how she, you know, continued on and on about the problem that she identified. And she made it into a very, very nice case study. So the case studies turn out to be like a story, and they're very, very interesting to read. So when I approve your case study outline, then you write the full paper then. Right. So when I evaluate the final paper, I already know your case study, right? And then my focus then will be looking at what leadership theories did you pick, right? And how are you using it to critically analyze? So we will have email conversations about that. And during the write-up of the final paper, you know what, I'm available through email if you want to run things by me, right? Happy to support you there. The course officially ends on August the 20th. The final paper is due not on the 20th, it's due on the 25th. So I do give it extra time to do it. About half of the class is able to submit the paper on August the 20th, the last day of the 7-week course, but I do give extra time in order for you to pull it together. Right. So please keep me posted. It's really important, if you're not able to meet timelines, just to keep me posted about what's happening, you know, if you need an extension. Okay. So what are your expectations of me? Really important. If you email me, do not get a response within 40 hours, please email again. What that means is your email got buried. Right. So I'm getting better at it, but I've had students in the past that, you know, that have gotten upset at me because, you know, I ignored their email and I don't remember the email, because the email gets buried for whatever reasons in the Outlook that I'm using. It appears buried down in the email. If several people, you know, email me, and then all in the same email and reply or whatever, then it gets buried in the bottom, right? And then I miss it, and I'm still working on just to make sure that I don't miss them. So please email me again. I will be providing lots of descriptive feedback to your assignments and providing lots of details to you as well. It's really important that we do have checkpoints, and that's the book choice. And I've given the go ahead to everybody except the 4. And the 4 I will, you know, approve it, you know, soon. And then also the final course paper, the case study outline, right? It's really important that I approve that before I let you loose in doing stuff, okay? Follow the marking schemes, which is the success criteria, very carefully, because that's how I evaluate the assignments. That's how students do very, very well. If you follow the marking schemes, you cannot go wrong, okay? I'm going to be actively involved in the discussion forum. So you will see that I will respond to your discussion activity, your discussion post activity. I will put a response, and the response, as I said earlier in this meeting, it's not going to be praising you all the amazing stuff you said. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in pushing you further by asking you to clarify this point, asking you to go deeper on a certain point. And then once you've done that, then I'm satisfied you have provided a comprehensive and high quality response. And you will see when you get your mark at the end, which is 5 out of 5, most likely, that I was pleased with the response. All right. So that's why don't feel alarmed or discouraged when you see, okay, he didn't say anything nice about my response, right? You'll see it in the mark. Okay. And I will get you there to the end for each of the discussion posts. Again, follow the things to do, weekly things to do handout each week. Follow the course outline, follow the course marking schemes that are in the course outline. It is not the on-cue course content, because you're going to be doing work that you just don't have the time to do, right? You just don't have time. You're trying to manage your professional life, you're trying to manage your personal life, and you're trying to manage this course as well. It's just too much. And also some of you are working in the summer as well. Right? And that's why the nice thing about it being asynchronous is that you can work on this course whenever you want, at whatever time you want, or whatever day you want, right? So there's no set time to be online. I will be positive, supportive, encouraging, and approachable. So please reach out to email to me. My commitment to you is your success, and I really do mean that. And I have very high expectations for you, and you will reach those expectations. I've taught the course 5 times, and I will push you, and you will be very, very pleased at the end when you see the products that you create. And that's what I want for you. I want the focus to be on learning and not on the marks. And it's a graduate level course, right? So you want to learn as much as you can, and the marks will be there at the end. Okay, so as I already said to you, prediction is the class meeting will be at the end about a 92, right? Sometimes a 91 in the end, some 94, whatever. Marks are not that important for me. Marks are very, very important if you're looking into getting, pursuing a doctorate, a professional doctorate, of which you need an A average, right? So at least get an 80 in the course, okay, which you'll get much higher. And I've had students that have struggled in this course and they still get their A's because they worked very, very hard, right? Or A plus even, but they worked very hard. And that's what you're going to be rewarded with in the end, okay? And then revises and updates course outline, responsive to students' workload to 7 weeks. You know what? I want to say I'm responsive to the workload of 7 weeks, but again, I'm being transparent. It is a lot of work still, right? And I'm trying to figure out how can I reduce the workload more, but not make it to the point where the course is just, it's now not the intended flavor of the course. Okay, so my expectations of you, as I said, work hard. Email if you have questions, concerns, need support, or need extensions. Please do that. Check your Queen's email on a regular basis, as I will email at the end of each module. I will have a summary of my thoughts of the module. So if there are shortcomings I notice as a pattern in the class, I'll point that out there. For example, last semester with the AP, I was pointing that you gotta look at this and this and this kind of a thing, right? So check your Queen's email. I realize that not everybody will check their Queen's email. So see if you have another email, see if you can forward your Queen's email to your regular email that you use so that you don't miss out on stuff. And I also, any of the emails where I send important information, like if it's really important, you need to know, I also will store that on the discussion forum. There's a professor announcements folder on the discussion forum. I will post it there as well, so that so it's all in one place. Okay, I've talked about focus on learning as much as possible. I also talked about maintaining a journal to document your thoughts and reflections, connections between leadership theories, how leadership theories apply to your professional practice. It's really good to have, because the course, it's basically reflecting. That's what's nice about this course, is you're spending a lot of time reading the stuff, reading the learning theories, and you're reflecting on, oh, I see that in that leader that I've had. I've seen it in that leader that I had, and just jot it down. I can see that in myself, right? Because again, what you will know, if you haven't already, is that everybody is a leader. So if you are a classroom teacher, you are a leader to your students, right? So because of that, you can take the leadership theories, which ones resonate with you, and then you can reflect on how you're going to implement that in your professional practices to make you more effective at what you do. Okay, and as I said already, follow marking schemes very carefully. That's the success criteria, which is transparent. I do not want you guessing what I'm expecting. Okay, so there's no guessing involved. If you are guessing, then email me, because then it's not clear what I've written. Okay, and academic integrity and honesty are very, very important. Okay, so I don't know what time it is. Where's the phone? I don't know where my phone is. I don't know what time it is. Okay, so are there any, let me just see if there's any questions. If there's questions, can you please just unmute yourselves? Oh, here's my phone. It's 9:07. Wow, it took a bit longer than I expected. Are there any questions? As I said, my 2 goals for you are to know exactly what is expected, and for you to feel confident that, you know what, this course, I'm up for the challenge in this course, because you will do very well, I know. Right? Are there any questions? Just unmute yourself and ask, please. Are there no questions? Is everything clear to everybody of what needs to happen? Oh, wait, someone.
Gary should give you something at least. No, everything is very clear. Thank you very much for doing this talk. I thought everything was great, and thank you for clarifying things for us. Okay,
thank you. So if there are questions, please just email me, okay? So that I can answer your questions. It's going to be a great, what is it now, 6.5 weeks left. So it's going to go by very, very quickly, believe it or not. Okay, it's going to go by very quickly. And if there's anything that I can do to support, please email me, because as I said, I'm very, very committed to each of you. And what I want you to do is to leave the course feeling good and confident, right? And that's the whole point, having a really, really good experience. And as students have said, it's a fun course, right? Even though they don't want to be a formal leader, they still found it a very, very fun course. So that's my hope. It's a very, very positive experience for you. Okay, so there's no questions, then I'll stop the recording now, and then we'll communicate on the discussion forum as well as through email. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming tonight.